Hi, it's Amber with Whole Self Emergence, Release and Restore Yoga. I just wanted to hop on here and give some ideas of how we can use our props to support our specific bodies in poses. All of our bodies are different. Each and every one is put together a little differently. Our joints go together differently. Some are padded, some are not as padded, joints go deep in the groove, some are a little more shallow, some are more lubricated, some are more dry. We all hold tension very differently in our body. So some muscles are regularly contracted, some are not. There's just so many different things to consider when we are in our poses, and having props on hand to support our body in any way it needs to be supported is a really great way to avoid injury in our practice and to be able to relax into poses. The Release and Restore Yoga program is really built for us to be able to go into our body, see where we're holding on, and start to be able to release and relax muscles so that we're able to release tension stored in our muscles, stored deep in our connective tissues as well. So my first prop, and these are all on my website. You can go to the Release and Restore Yoga page, and I might add some links as well to the online membership page so that you can find these props very easily. So this is first a yoga blanket, a Mexican blanket. And I think we use these in yoga because not only are they soft, you can use them to cover up with, which is nice for Shavasana, but when you fold them, they become quite firm. They don't have a lot of give. They're soft and they're nice to sit on, but like I said, they're just a little firm. So I use these to come into a comfortable seat. So I always recommend, unless you're really comfortable sitting with a neutral spine, nice and tall, then using something to sit your sit bones up on so that your pelvis and your hips are just coming forward a bit and you're able to sit quite a bit taller, a lot more comfortably. So just kind of giving an example, when I'm sitting here in my comfortable seat, you can see a little rounding, a little slumping right here. I'm working quite hard to stay in this position, and I'm already, just within seconds, I can start to feel strain within my lower back area. Coming up, let's stay in this position. You can see how my back is much straighter. My vertebrae are stacked on top of each other. I'm using really no muscles right now to keep it upright. My vertebrae are just able to stack right into my hips, right into my pelvis. And the nice thing is with the blanket, you can adjust it to your needs. So, you might not need to be nearly as high up as I am. So it might feel a lot better to lower the height on the blanket, lower the height a little more on the blanket. And with a blanket handy and nearby, you can also pad your mat for certain positions. So coming into tabletop, I think it can feel really nice just to add that extra cushioning underneath your knees and your legs so we're not sitting on top of a hard floor at all. So this is my blanket, and there's so many other uses you can use for your blanket as well. Blocks are another, I think, number one for our practice. If you don't have these now, there's other things that maybe you can use as an alternative, but the blocks just have so much versatility in them. So we can use them, again, in our comfortable seat. So not everybody's knees are comfortable in this position. And maybe propping some blocks underneath our thighs can add a lot more comfort and ease in this position where we're able to relax a little bit more. And some people's come up quite a bit far, so you can change, which is nice with the blocks. You've got 3 different heights to work with. Butterfly pose is another one we do often. It's a really great hip opener. Gets right into the groin. It really just opens up this whole area. A lot of times we'll fold forward a little bit and get into our lower back. That's another place that it's nice to have those blocks so that you're able to relax into the pose. And again, you get to figure out which setting works for you. We come into many forward folds that we're able to release through our lower back in this practice. So coming into your forward folds right here, a lot of times I'll cue, if it's okay for your lower back, to round your spine so that you're getting a stretch through the whole entire spine. And when we're here, it can be a lot to have your head hanging on your neck and pulling on your whole spine. So having a place to rest your forehead. And again, you get to be the boss with these blocks. So maybe you come down quite a bit lower than me. This is my forward fold. This is where I stop and I feel some therapeutic sensation in my lower back, and I don't want to go further than that. So I just stop right here. And obviously, I'm not going to make it down to this block. I can check with this height. Not so much to start off with. And I can start right here and just let everything go. And a lot of times we're in these poses for at least a couple minutes, and we might notice that our edge recedes, and as space opens in our lower back, in our inner thighs, and we're able to go just a little bit deeper into our pose. And usually when we go a little bit deeper, it means we've released a little bit of tension that was there, a little bit of stiffness, which is always just exciting for me to know that if I've just gone even half an inch deeper, that's just a little less of a knot in my body. So as that space opens, you can lower your blocks, or you can push them out a little bit further in front of you, whichever works better for you. And then sometimes if you're really tight in certain areas, having those blocks to put underneath knees can really help. We use our blocks for stability. So sometimes if we're in a lunge, it can be really nice to use the blocks. Again, you get to play with that setting depending on where you want to be. They're great for a forward fold. So some people are really comfortable, a little bit of bend in the knee and able to just dangle here without it putting a lot of pressure on their lower back if you don't have a lot of sensitivity there. I do have a little sensitivity there. So it is nice for me to raise the floor up. And just have my hands here, adding a little bit of support here for my lower back. I'm still able to dangle here. Or you could come up even further, just making sure you're stable when you do it so they're not going to fall out from underneath you. But maybe right here is a good spot for you. So the forward fold is a really good one for them. The bolster is another great prop that we use. Let's see if I'm skipping any poses that we use regularly for these things. Yeah, so the bolster, a lot of times we'll do a supported bridge in our classes, and supported bridge has so many benefits. It's one of my favorite poses that we would come down, and I would cue you to press into the soles of your feet, lift your pelvis off the floor, and there's so many ways you could use your block at its lowest setting underneath your sacrum, and you can rest everything down there. Can also be nice when we're doing legs up to have that support underneath the back. You could use your bolster for this, which feels amazing. So if you have your bolster, you can bring that under your lower back. And this is just a little softer. It's about the same height. It cradles your hips really nicely, and you're able to release down. This pose feels so nice on the lower back. It is an inversion, so it's sending fluids and energy from lower parts that might be denser. It's lightening it and it's lifting it through our organs, into our cranium, into our master glands and our head that regulate our internal rhythms. And if this is too much for you, this could be too much, and that is completely fine. We are just here to listen to our bodies. You could use your blanket. So you could fold it. Like I said, there's quite a bit of firmness to these blankets. So you could try different settings on your blanket. This might be enough. We're usually here for a couple minutes, and even with this little bit, you will feel it. Or you could maybe go up a level and see how that feels. So there's many ways we can use these props to get into the body for this supported bridge. Sphinx pose is another one we will do quite often. I love Sphinx pose for stimulating those lower discs in our back. And I usually start here so that you can really feel into it and stop when you need to stop, when you're feeling compression. So we just walk our hands in, we come to our own depth, and it might be nice to have a block here to rest your head on. If you come up further, of course, you can add some height to your block. Or maybe it would feel really good here to have your bolster underneath. Coming into it right here, resting your head down right here. Sometimes we might use our block for what is called dead fish. And we'd bring our block to where about right below our shoulder blades, and this would be right around where our head would rest. And we'd probably have to do a little adjusting as we go down. So this one's a little intense with that upper back. And you bring your head down to here, and we're just opening up through our whole upper body, which is not its normal, usually reflex, is usually closed in a little bit on itself. So we're opening up all that chest space, creating a deeper breath, opening up through the collarbone, even our head. So our neck is getting a nice little stretch right here. And I might cue for our legs to be winged out, just add a little bit more opening, or of course you could have them extended out in front of you. Or you might use your bolster for that. This might be the better way to go into that. Very comfortable, much more comfortable for me, I'd say, than the blocks. And I'm still getting into those areas. I'm still getting that stretch in my neck. Or if that's a lot for you, you could try with the blanket. You can see how the blanket feels there. Maybe folding it one more time, maybe not. There is no judging here. This is just a time to listen to your body so you're able to open up in certain areas, to release and to relax. So yeah, this feels pretty good too. I'm still feeling an opening. I'm still feeling a stretch in the neck. And I have many different ways. I use the blocks a little bit harder. You're definitely not getting any give here. The bolster felt really comfortable, as does the blanket in this pose. And then I think the last one I'm just going to go over, child's pose. Child's pose is one that can be so restorative for our body. You're extending your spine, but it can be, some people love it and some people I can have a hard time getting into it. Depends on where you hold tension. If there's a lot of strain in your hamstrings, sometimes your lower back, sometimes you just can't get all the way down, that's completely fine. So maybe you'd want to take your blanket and just lift up a little bit right here so that you're having a little bit more height right here. Maybe the bolster in front of you. So this might be how you would prefer to come down into this child's pose. Just adding a little height to the mat, and that is okay. Maybe onto your head. Just raising up that floor this way. So there's a lot of different ways we can use the props in our child's pose. The strap in the link on our website, the strap comes with the blocks, and a strap is another one that we'll use quite frequently, and you could use like a belt strap, but the straps, they're a pretty inexpensive prop when they come with the blocks. The whole thing kit is very reasonable in my opinion, and it's, I think, just worth it because it's built for what we're doing. So like sometimes we'll be on our back and we will extend our leg up into the air, and normally it's kind of hard for me, like I'm not overly flexible. So having the strap, I stop where I stop, I relax my arms, I can bring my leg a little bit to the left, I have that tension there, kind of holding it nice and straight, getting a nice stretch to the whole back of my leg. I can bring it the other way, I don't go far that way. Just stopping where I stop, getting into this left outer hip a little bit. Some ways we can use our strap. We can use our strap to get a nice shoulder stretch. So maybe hanging it behind you, and we just hold on to wherever we hold on. We stay here for a moment. So there's different ways we can use our strap in our practice. These are just a couple ways that I'm giving examples of. And then finally, with our props, we can use them for our Shavasana, our final deep relaxation in our practice, which is really one of the most important poses in our practice. It's where our body processes our practice. It's where it makes adjustments, and we come out feeling stronger, and we come to a new homeostasis and balance. But we need that little bit of integration time for our body to be able to take it all in. So maybe it feels good to have the cushion underneath your knees. Maybe you want to take the folded blanket and put it underneath your head. Maybe you want the blocks to just rest your hands on here, making this a very restorative, deep relaxation where you can let everything go. Anything that might feel tense is supported here so that you can really release into this pose. Or you can always use the blanket to cover up with, or if you're at home, you can have more than one blanket available so that you can get cozy in your practice. So that is all. That is all the poses I'll go through for right now that we'll use the props for. There's so many different poses we'll go through that just might feel nice for your body to be supported in different ways. So all of these can be found on the website. Thank you.